the way Bitcoin, let's start with Bitcoin, it's still in its infancy. And until it matures and really becomes more of a currency and a legitimate store of value, whichever one you want to look at it as, it's going to trade mostly like a growth stock. It's going to trade like a speculative investment. Mm-hmm. And that means there's going to be times where it's risk on and risk off. Right now, we're in a risk off environment. People are doing flights to safety. 6 months ago, it was more risk on, and the hot money was going into things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's part of it. Simply, it was very much correlated with the stock market. As the stock market, stocks are going up, Bitcoin is going up, right?
Is there a business metaphor for that? Something like that, where like you accomplish your goals as a business?
Yeah, Facebook.
If you sort of figure it, you know what I mean? Like the gays accomplish the goal of equality, right? You can get married, you can adopt kids, you can have kids through surrogacy, all of that stuff. The equality, it's here, but then you don't stop. There must be like a business version of that.
Facebook.
You just keep going.
Whatever the hell the mission. What was the mission? Let me tell you what happened.
The mission was for him to get laid, basically.
There's a theory I have on this too, that organizations tend to become exaggerations of what their values are. They exaggerate themselves over time. They end up becoming more and more and more extreme to what their core values are. They become, like Stratton became more crazy. If it's crazy, a little crazy, it gets crazier.
Yeah.
Woke becomes more, whoa. It always exaggerates because there's echo chamber and this sort of effect that happens of self-reinforcement, surrounding yourself with like-minded people. The ultimate echo chamber is Facebook, where they skew the algorithms so you only see what you want to see, what you like to hear, so your beliefs are reinforced. I've watched my third wife just become, going into the whole, the cute thing because they fed her this stuff on Facebook, and I think it's really screwed up. When I look at Facebook, like the values of that company are just so fucked up. And I don't think he probably started off as a terrible guy.
He wanted to get laid.
He wanted to get laid, right? And then it became this gross exaggeration of almost like an Orwellian sort of spoon feeding people what they want to hear and what you want them to hear at the same time.
Are you telling me you're not excited to go into the metaverse led by humanoid robot Mark Zuckerberg?
The good thing about the metaverse is it will not be led by Mark Zuckerberg. It will not be, because by the nature of the metaverse and everything about blockchain, it's a decentralizing force. So centralized institutions, while they'll play some role, I believe that this next evolution is going to be away from centralized institutions. And we see that right now happening in the financial world with you have these new platforms popping up like Sushi Swap and Pancake Swap. These are just names of decentralized exchanges that 15 guys will do more volume. A 15-man company, decentralized, can outperform Coinbase that has 8,000 or 15,000 employees. It's so much more elegant and effective. And I think that over time, I don't think the metaverse will be dominated by people like Zuckerberg. I pray it's not.
So you're pretty, I know this obviously, but you're pretty bullish on crypto and all that. Are you surprised that Bitcoin didn't move that much in the last 2 months? After what happened in Canada, where they were freezing bank accounts, and you'd think that Bitcoin would have blown up, and then all the Ukraine stuff and the SWIFT system, as you mentioned before, you'd think that Bitcoin right now, or crypto in general, would all be skyrocketing, but it's actually not quite like that at the moment.
So the way Bitcoin, let's start with Bitcoin, it's still in its infancy. And until it matures and really becomes more of a currency and a legitimate store of value, whichever one you want to look at it as, it's going to trade mostly like a growth stock. It's going to trade like a speculative investment. Mm-hmm. And that means there's going to be times where it's risk on and risk off. Right now, we're in a risk off environment. People are doing flights to safety. 6 months ago, it was more risk on, and the hot money was going into things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's part of it. Simply, it was very much correlated with the stock market. As the stock market, stocks are going up, Bitcoin is going up, right? And also, it's like...
Is that partly just because people have more money then, and they're just like, I'll just put more money into Bitcoin too, because I have more money?
Partially, but what's happening is when people are scared, Bitcoin is still not mature enough that people look at it as a flight to safety. It's just not. And that it was supposed to be that, and it probably will be that, but it's still not there yet. And Bitcoin is still manipulated. In other words, there's still some very big people that fuck with it, right? But I think generally speaking right now, I think what you're seeing is that I think it's healthy for Bitcoin is you have this trading range of like, 35, whatever it is, to the high was 60, and that's okay. And I think it takes time. Like, when Bitcoin crashed down to $3,000 or $2,000, it stayed there for a while, and then ultimately it has another rally. So I think it's building a base right now, and then ultimately it will go substantially higher. I think there's pressures, and again, that's just my point. I'm telling you to buy because of that. but I think that the nature of Bitcoin, the scarcity, the stickiness that people tend to hold it for the long term. There's a lot of things that I think are over the long term putting upward pressure on the price.
What are you doing with your money these days? What are you in this crazy time?
I'm heavily into the crypto, DeFi, metaverse, very much into that. And but I don't have to invest my money so much. It's not what I do really. My model is more people will actually give me stakes in their companies for in exchange for advice and using my brand. So I have a very much of a risk-free model of getting involved in companies. Now, when companies that are bigger and more, let's say the better deals, so I'll put money in. I don't mind doing that. But very often the more speculative deals, they're looking for advice. They're looking to get connections opened up to them. So I do a lot of that, and I also invest in the off blockchain world as well. I have a great iced tea company that I'm involved, which is blowing up right now. So for me,
you can pimp them out. You can come on.
Yeah, well, it's nothing. You can buy the product. You can buy the iced tea, which is great. It's called Montauk iced tea.
There you go. Come
on.
It's
unbelievable.
Come on, you're
that's amazing. It's great iced tea. It's all over the place, and in the Northeast right now, they'll go nationwide this year. Throughout the year. But here's what I believe. The safest, best investment in the world for anybody. You want an investment tip? Ready for this? Buy the S&P 500 in a Vanguard no-load mutual fund. Hold it, reinvest the dividends, and just set it and forget it. And that is your best bet of all.
So that does show me you're still bullish on America to some degree, right?
Well, listen, again, I think that America's values and its global positioning, and I said the middle class is going to get squeezed, but the 500 largest corporations, they're running this show anyway. I mean, they're behind this whole, military industrial complex. I mean, they're in charge, and what you're doing is when you're buying that, you're buying the collective ingenuity of America. And for all faults, the system is amazing. What we have here is an economic system is powerful. It rewards hard work, it rewards ingenuity. And unlike other countries where success is frowned on, standing out is frowned on, here we worship or we emulate, we elevate people who have taken risks and make a lot of money.
What would you do if you were CEO of one of these companies that was going woke? So if you were the head of Disney right now, knowing everything I know about you, and now the company seems like it's in upheaval and the board's angry at you and people are I mean, it's hard to gauge how much of it's real, but if you had a general sense of what's going on right now and they're coming to you, what would you do different than this guy?
I'd probably lose my job.
Yeah.
Because I would simply, what I would have done is I would have never let it get this far. I would have been having this, I believe the problem usually comes way before that. It's like this virus, this cancer that's forming and spreads and it's allowed to keep spreading. And before you know it, the inmates are ruling the asylum. So I would have been, carefully, let's say almost daily messaging, things that were against that whole thing, supporting, as I feel about gay people, whatever, but I would, have a very, very different type of corporate culture. But that said, in the way the world works right now, it's almost like you get canceled like that.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty high and mighty of me to say I'll stick to my core beliefs, but, I might have to be forced for fiduciary responsibility, or I'd be fired as the CEO for not pretending to be woke.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about lifestyles instead of nonstop yelling, check out our lifestyle playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, check out our full episode playlist. They're both right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.